Plaintiff Chris Azery says after his 11-month-old son passed away, he was locked up and charged with injury to a minor. Chris was released 4 months later and started a new job to get back on his feet, and that's where he met the defendant. Chris says he started dating the defendant, but it only lasted 3 months, and he's suing his ex-girlfriend for an unpaid loan and punitive damages. Defendant Tawny Hess insists she was never romantically involved with Chris and claims he was simply infatuated with her. Tawny says Chris would even sit outside of her work and watch her, and she's countersuing for lost wages and emotional distress.
Start with you.
Your Honor, it all started the most devastating day of my life. Back in October of 2008, I found out that my wife was cheating on me. I gave her an option to leave. She refused. Being that, in my opinion, would be a volatile situation to leave the kids in, I chose to leave. About 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from my ex-wife stating that my son, my 11-month-old son, had passed away.
How?
We didn't know at the time. We were waiting for toxicology reports to come back. So about a month later, I found out that there was a warrant for my arrest as well as my wife's. It turns out that she had gotten drunk the night of October 17th and passed out and had to obtain some methadone from one of the other neighbors and left it where my 6-year-old daughter could reach it. And my 11-month-old son woke up, I guess, in the middle of the night or in the very early morning. I was not staying there at the time, but it turns out that my 6-year-old daughter thought it was Tylenol. She had seen me give my son Tylenol in a little plunger before. And my wife wouldn't wake up, so she gave that to him thinking that it was Tylenol, and he passed away from a methadone overdose.
So sorry to hear that.
Needless to say, I was in a very bad state. Still am. It's something I have to deal with for the rest of my life. Anyway, a warrant was issued for my arrest. Wow. And the very next day, I proceeded to go turn myself in on the warrant, not knowing what had happened. That's when the detectives pulled me out of booking and explained to me that it was a methadone overdose, and that I was being charged with felony injury to a child for leaving my kids in my wife's care. So needless to say, I sat in jail for 4 months fighting my case, trying to get it dismissed. In the meantime, the state had taken custody of my other 2 children. And the only option I had was to work a case plan, a 6-month case plan through the Department of Health and Welfare to obtain custody of my children. Being in jail, fighting my case, I was unable to work my case plan. The prosecuting attorney knew that, and I believe, in my opinion, used it against me, and it had me plead guilty to 1 count of felony injury to a child in order to be released in order to work my case plan to get custody of my kids. Otherwise, I would have been locked up during that duration and would have lost my parental rights in the process of fighting my case.
What's going on now?
Now I've been out of jail. Obviously, I had to get on my feet and do the right thing for my children, get a job. I enrolled in school. I'm in school full-time, Boise State University. I've gotten a full-time job, which is originally where I met Tawny. I was hired as her boss, and the first day we had met, she actually did an interview with me to determine to the CEO whether they should bring me on board or not. From that day, she had showed interest in me romantically that day, from day one.
How so?
Just, the obvious, Your Honor, flirting, telling me that I was handsome, and so on and so forth. And being in the state I was in at the time, I was, getting back on my feet and trying to get custody of my kids. I was doing this all on my own. I really needed support from someone, and I kind of took it hook, line, and sinker. And
you all began a relationship in May?
Yes, we did.
All right. How long did that relationship last?
Approximately 3 months.
Why so short?
She was still living with her ex-boyfriend, who apparently was extremely abusive to her, and she wanted to end that relationship with this gentleman. But she was still living with him at the time and didn't have anywhere else to stay. So she didn't want to put a label on us. She didn't want to move too fast. She still expressed interest throughout this whole time. She would kiss me, we went out on dates, things like that. And so I was being very patient with her.
Why'd you break up?
Because I loaned her $1,550 to pay her bail bondsman as well as her probation
That's the loan you're suing about?
Yes, sir.
Now, I guess you're telling me you all broke up over the loan, but so let me allow her to give some background.
Okay.
Ma'am?
Well, Chris Azri is what I would call obsessed. You know, his infatuation is primarily the reason why we're in court today. You know, I didn't like him when he first started there. My boss promoted him because I called in sick, so in fact, I loathed him. I ended up being terminated from the job because of sales performances. And at that time, him and I did end up becoming friends. So
When you say friends, are you referring to dating?
no. I have a 1.5-year-old son. I'm involved with his father. I have been for 2.5 years, almost 3. So we're engaged, and we have been for over a year. So no, I have not been in a relationship.
What do you think
with
gives him the impression you all were?
I think if I smiled at him, he would think I was his wife. You know, and
What type of advances has he made, and have you turned him away?
he wasn't ever like very, you know, he wasn't in your face, like, you know, with advances.
Tell me how he was.
His friendship that we had went from, hey, you know, I want to go down to Boise State. Will you give me a ride? To, why aren't you talking to me? I've texted you for 4 days. You haven't talked to me. Emails to my Boise State email address.
No, something where he indicated he wanted to be intimately involved with you.
Oh, he never.
I thought you were referring to
He would sit outside my work and
I know,
watch
but for
me.
what interest? To date you?
Wow.
I don't know.
Okay. Now, you wanted to tell me about the loan, or?
Your Honor, actually, I don't know if this is relevant at this time, but I do have text messages from her stating
All right,
about
I'll look at those
relationships.
shortly. Tell me about how she owes you.
Okay, we were together, according to her. She wanted to move out of where she was staying with her ex-boyfriend so that we could be together. And my goal was to secure housing for me and my children. I had set aside money for my student loans so that I could secure housing for me and my children as part of my case plan. She came at me telling me that her dad had gotten her a house and that me and my children would be more than welcome there. And in fact, I have a list of pros and cons in her handwriting about us moving in together.
Tell me about
and
the
her
loan.
negatives. Anyway, I told her that I'd saved that money for secure housing. She explained to me that we should move in together, and then I wouldn't have to pay the $1,500 for housing. I would have rent free for a full year because her dad was going to pay for it. So I told her, "Are you sure?" I asked her 4 times, "Are you sure that this is something you want to do?" She said, "I'm positive, I'm positive, I'm positive," and convinced me that I should loan her this money to keep her out of jail. She had several DUIs and was required by law to wear an alcohol monitor, which she failed to pay for over a matter of 8 months, I believe. And her bail bondsman who ran the alcohol monitor was threatening to put her in jail for non-payment. So me, being a caring individual, loaned her the $1,550 in cash so that she could pay her bail bondsman as well as her probation officer so that she could stay out of jail.
Ma'am?
I don't know anything about securing housing. How this all came about to me, Chris sent text messages upon text messages. Let me backtrack. I befriended him under false pretenses. I thought he
what
wanted.
false pretenses?
Well, I thought he wanted to actually be my friend. In reality, he wanted more than that, hoping that
Wanted
maybe
more like what?
I'm sure he was hoping that I would have more feelings than just, hey, let's be buds.
Did he ever give you the impression he wanted to date you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember telling me earlier that he didn't?
Well,
Next question. Did you ever discuss him moving in with you?
for him to say that my dad paid for a house.
No. That's not my question.
No.
Did you never discussed him moving in with you?
I'm on a lease.
I didn't
No.
ask you that. So no is the answer. All right. So how do you explain the text where you say to him, relationship and moving in is already a huge step. I am not comfortable with you taking care of us, implying that he has offered to take care of you. So my parents are suggesting I don't move at all because of how much work it will be to get settled in. My parents don't want you living with me, especially since I haven't had my own space to just sort out my life. How do you explain that?
But it doesn't state that I asked him to move in with me.
That wasn't my question. I said, did you ever discuss it?
Discussion of moving? Yes.
You said no.
Discussion of him moving
Ma'am,
in with me?
Judgment for the plaintiff. You've perjured yourself consistently. Judgment for the plaintiff, whatever you think you were going to sue him for is dismissed. You've perjured yourself. You've come across as a poor liar at that. Not even a good liar. Having a good jury.
The allegations that I was infatuated with her was completely false. I've actually dated several women. I'm not infatuated with any one particular woman.
He's dated several women? Look at him. Really? I doubt it. So is that why you chased me for, what, 5, 6 months?
Oh, you're
I'm
the one
engaged to be married, and yet you won't let go, so.
Okay.
You sit outside my work and harass my coworkers.
Prove it.
Yeah.
Never sat outside of your
Oh,
work.
really?
Never.
Yeah.